Hey, what is going on, everybody? This is the Kingdom Bringer Podcast, episode 25. So stoked, so excited we made it this far, and I do not intend on winding down anytime soon, but I am, however, going to take a break. I told you guys a couple weeks ago I wanted to put out 25 episodes and then take a break for the rest of the year. This is like November, so we're going to be taking a break until 2019. This is the last episode for about a month and a half. And it's good. It's so good. I have a lot of things planned, a lot of cool things in store for the podcast. It's just some cool ideas, some cool programming things that are going to be neat. Kind of just a new refreshing on this thing. And I just want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in every single week. We got some really good, faithful listeners. We've heard from a few of you. And we want to grow this thing really in its ability for us to communicate with you guys. We want to have access not just to your ears, but to your hearts. We want to establish relationships with you. So we want to continue this platform, continue this podcast, continue its outreach, except grow. We want to grow, not just with more people, but just a greater ability to reach out to you guys. So, on that note, I need your help. We really need your help. If you're listening to this podcast right now, you're probably listening to it on a phone, on a computer, from an iTunes platform, from a Spotify platform, maybe from YouTube. Do me a favor, like right now, just rate and review the podcast. It's super simple. If you're on iTunes, just go over there and rate it. All you got to do is you can search for the Kingdom Bringer Podcast, click on it, scroll down a little bit. You could give us a 5-star rating, review it, let us know what you think about it. I promise you this helps us out. This helps get the word out. iTunes monitors those rating system, and it just moves you up the list. We want to have greater influence, greater impact, so we need your help. Also, if you're listening to this right now, when you're done listening to this, I want you to share it. It's super easy, guys. Just share this episode and send it out. Share it through text, share it on your Facebook page, send it like individually to your friends on Facebook, however you want to do it. Just get it out there for us. We really, really want that. And so we're kind of relying on you guys to make that happen. I share this thing with friends. I want to ask you guys to do the same thing. If you're interested in helping and supporting this thing, that's the easiest way you can do it. So go on Facebook. If you don't follow us, if you don't like our page on Facebook, check it out. It's at KB Podcast on Facebook. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We upload the new episodes to that every single week. Also, you can email us questions and comments to thekingdombringers@gmail.com. And we would love to hear from you. We will respond back to you. That's one way that we can keep this platform going. We just want to collect your email addresses too, just for upcoming things. I'm telling you, this podcast is going to be not just something that you listen to once a week. We're going to have some opportunities to get together, like in the physical, maybe throw some bashes, throw some parties, get together. We want to relate to you guys. We want to make new friends, okay? We want to make new friends. So email us at thekingdombringers@gmail.com. Again, this is episode 25. I consider it a milestone. I really do. It's not always easy to sit down and find time to do this thing, but I love it so much. I'm very, very passionate about this. So I'm going to continue to do it, if that's okay with you guys. So also with that, if you're interested in partnering with us financially, if you want to help give to this podcast, help make this thing possible. It's something that it's a lot of work, multiple hours a week that I'm putting into this thing, and we need some new equipment. It's just motivation to keep this thing going. You can give through PushPay. It's super easy. You text the word Willroads, WILROADS, to 77977. The link is actually going to be in the show notes. So if you click on these show notes here, especially if you're on iTunes, click on the description of this episode and click that link, follow it. Super easy. You guys can give one-time gift or you can give a recurring monthly gift. Either one would be amazing and we would appreciate it. It'd be a blessing. That's it. We're going to go right into this episode, number 25. I sit down with Chris Hagan and Jason Goetz. Hope you guys enjoy it. Chris, you're quiet. Again.
I don't just talk just to talk.
I don't waste words.
I really don't. If I have something to say, you know I will say it.
Keep that up close to you. You can pull it to you.
Okay. No, I'm just slouching.
I know.
I'm going to sit up and
Okay.
see.
Okay.
Come on, man. Let me chill.
Cool. So I got you both on here. I've had Chris on by himself. I've had Chris on with Scotty.
Mm-hmm.
I've had Jason on by himself, and I've had Jason on with Scotty. Scott is at the hospital with his wife. She's having some surgery. We're praying for her. And this is episode 25. I was actually going to take the week off, but I also want to take a big break off. So I wanted to get 25 done. And I asked Jason Goetz and Chris Hagan to join me today. How are you guys doing? What's up, Jason?
I'm doing good, man. Last night was it was an exciting night. We did a kind of an early Thanksgiving banquet in partnership with Buckland. So Scotty and his crew that we don't get to hang out with all the time, and then the four of us and our families, and then just the extended Will Rhodes family. And it was cool. Some spontaneous worship broke out. Just some people that hadn't ever played together before all together.
Man.
And just the beauty of it, and just the the beauty in the room, when you're kind of bonding lives that aren't normally together, and just seeing them share a meal, break bread, pray, thankfulness, piece of art, just kind of some little things that I felt like were good stepping stones to greater oneness.
Yeah.
And just with how much the Lord loves unity, I think he had to be real, real happy with, just those hearts bonding together in a cool way. So, yeah, had rave reviews on worship stuff from all the musicians, and it was cool.
Well, it was fun because we didn't know if we were going to have time or a desire to worship at all.
Yeah, y'all were pestering me a little bit.
Kinda,
and I was like, well, it's not like I'm saying no to it,
yeah.
but I was like, I want to say yes to the meal first.
For sure.
So let's go from there.
I said yes to the meal.
Now.
Absolutely. And so we all ate together, which is a powerful thing, just getting together and breaking bread, and it was good. And I think Colton was about halfway through a dinner roll, and I reached over and I said, hey, bro, you want to worship? And he yep, drops that roll. We go in there.
Stop, drop, and roll.
It was really cool because it just started off with just Colton, and I think Zach had a guitar, and they were just kind of jamming.
It's beautiful.
And
man.
then one at a time, somebody goes up there and grabs an instrument, and then pretty soon we got 6 people on stage, almost like in a worship circle, and it was awesome, man. It was very powerful, very anointed crew, I believe, up there worshiping.
Absolutely.
And you had Chris. I see you getting more out of your shell when it comes to that.
I am, and I've always just tried to let God lead me as far as like when I'm supposed to be involved in certain things, because I've had a tendency to be involved in too much.
Yeah.
And it kind of puts a lot on me. So I'm like, okay, Lord, let me know when you want me to do certain things. And I think this season of my life, he's leading me more towards like being a part of worship, like the leadership aspect of it. Because of course we can worship anywhere, anytime, any day. But as far as the leadership aspect of it, I think this is a season where he's leading me more towards it. And I'm excited about it, man. I'm not... Y'all called me hold out there for a little bit.
Yeah, you broke out of that.
I definitely.
Now
God
Hagan
broke me.
Breakout.
He broke me out of it, man. So I'm excited. Yesterday was really cool for me because all I could really think about was the liberty associated with the Spirit. Like everybody just looked so free.
Yeah.
Just us worshiping and not even worried about what was going on, not worrying about if it was planned or not. Jason being willing to just let it flow and happen. Like that's what it's supposed to be. And so it was really cool, man.
Well, amazing worship for me is when you have 6 people up there and each of them are in their own little world. Like I'm a big concert fan, and so I love bands that are that way when they're on stage, and each one of the musicians is like in their own little world where they can almost stand alone, but they also need the other ones.
Right.
And so that's kind of how it was last night. I feel like they're, I think for a couple people in particular up on that stage, being around spirit-filled worship brought out the absolute best in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think it was really cool just to see each one of them could stand alone on stage, but each one of them needs the other person in there too. So it was just a beautiful thing.
Well, and I think that's perfect for, and I know we're still new and fresh in what the Lord's leading us into with our 5 families and us 5 men who are just following Jesus. But we feel like he has really highlighted our relationships with each other, almost in that band concept.
Yeah.
Of saying like,
You could stand alone.
I could and I've done it kind of not alone. It was always with other people, but there was definitely like point leadership from Jason. It's like, well, what do you want to do? A lot of times I always find myself like, well, here's what I want to do, or do you guys actually want to do that with me?
What do you think?
So, and always trying to like pull that out of people, it seemed like, rather than there being this so much in these other 4 awesome men of God that I'm running with, and being able to, see where is best to let Chris stand and be in his zone and like support that moment for him in the same way with Darin, or, just all of us. I think that's a cool way to look at it.
So if we were going to look at it that way, which band member would each one of us be? I definitely see myself as like the guy with the cowbell. Like
you're cowbelling it,
just annoying people, Dong, dong,
that is
dong,
definitely
dong.
you.
I think
Jason is the drummer because he's
say,
like
can
the
I set
beat.
the rhythm?
Yes,
a rhythm.
yeah, he's definitely the drummer. I don't know. I don't know what I am, man. I'm whatever y'all need.
Well,
for
I would
that
say
day.
there'd be some vocals involved, just as far as the proclamation
of this group in particular. You the singer, boy.
All right.
How about you be the pad, like just that constant, man,
Yeah.
just that for you,
Soothing.
dude, just that
the
soothing.
spirit, man.
Yeah, the spirit.
I like that. Yeah, that's good.
Ryan,
good.
he's always on the bass anyway, so let's let him bring the low end needs of the people.
There you go.
Definitely. I like that
And
too.
We're
Scott.
avoiding Scott, so I think
we
he's
got-
got to be like the loud screeching guitar. Is that what that is?
Yes.
I think
Yeah,
He's-
man.
he's the
making
front-
all the
he's
noise.
Whatever the front music is, if it's the electric or the acoustic or whatever it
That's
is.
funny.
It's so good that he's not here. That's awesome. We can talk about him all we want.
The
dang
spirit is so thick in this room.
Oh,
so good.
man.
Does that sound like Scotty?
The chair is just seeping with anointing.
Love you,
So
Scotty.
good.
When you
Yeah,
listen
man,
to this,
we
I love you,
bro.
man.
So we've got a couple things that I want to like really talk about today. One of them I'm going to consider breaking news.
Oh my gosh, man.
Breaking news coming. But
Oh.
I want to, since I've got you both in the room, I've kind of talked about it a little bit on this podcast about you guys kind of restarting the Two Brothers podcast, kind of getting that going. It's very possible that I'm more excited about it than the two of you are.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I'm
fair.
just really excited about this whole process, and it's probably safe to say that this is a borderline addiction for me.
Oh
Like,
gosh.
Let's Christian it up a little bit. It's a passion.
I have a passion.
There you go.
It's a passion.
It just sounds so much better. Like,
Yeah, it sounds more holy. Now we can talk about it.
Name it
Christians.
right.
Now we can talk about it. But I'm very passionate about the platform that podcasting is. I'm very passionate about getting other people excited about it, and the very fact that we had the Two Brothers podcast with James and Jason. James left, and that just kind of died. I love the idea of resurrecting something too, and so I think, and it's fair analysis to say that most people have been very intrigued with Chris Hagan's soothing voice. I get
my
that
God.
all the time from people.
Nice.
So
It's just
Adding-
a normal, man.
it's just a normal voice, man. No, so adding that to the mix, I think, is going to be a really, really cool thing. And so I want to hear from you guys. Talk to me a little bit about it. No, you're good. Is that something that you still want to do? Or is it just me keeping the flame alive?
No, we definitely want to do it. We've actually talked about it and kind of started the process. as y'all know, with Tara being pregnant and stuff, it's kind of just working our way around that. And
Tara's pregnant?
Yeah. So she has been for like 8 months now. So if you don't learn quick,
Whew,
you're going to miss it.
So we're to the stage where I can safely ask her if she's pregnant?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. You won't get in any trouble. But yeah, we're really excited about it. I know just personally, man, I can't wait to start doing it. I'm all about just spreading the word, man, just spreading his love and people learning and understanding things that I know at one point I didn't understand. So doing it with somebody that I respect and love so much, like Jason, it's going to be fun. Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. We're just kind of putting the order right now, just what we feel like the Spirit is leading us to talk about and kind of emphasize. And, the title is The Two Brothers and Jesus Sent Out 2 by 2. And so just being sent towards, what is he sending us towards in that Two Brothers podcast, the conversations that we want to ignite and that he wants to ignite that actually, spark some change, spark some transformation towards better place for how people see themselves and how they see their family, how they see our community. Man, if we could see like God, then we can do like God. And so there we go.
That's good.
Let's do it, man.
You guys have a music producer among the two of you as well.
Really, Jason?
So
I'm
excited.
Yeah, the
You
white
do that.
guy.
I'm excited. I'm excited about that as well. I think that's going to be fun for you, Chris, to probably start producing some music too.
It will be.
And the reason you can do that is because of our breaking news. Anyway, I'm excited about the podcast. I kind of hinted on it a couple episodes ago, but this episode 25 is going to be the last one for about a month of the Kingdom Bringer podcast. So we're going to be taking a break and coming back after the first of the year. And during that time, I think the plan is for us to produce a few episodes of the Two Brothers podcast.
Yeah.
To be able to have a launch after the first of the year. So that's the plan, and I'm going to see it through.
Cool.
The Two Brothers podcast might have
we need your help.
just Darin Eubanks talking.
You're welcome anytime.
I could totally, maybe the first one, I could talk in both of your voices and they would never know a difference.
Yeah,
No.
sure.
You don't have a shot at
I
that.
don't have a shot, do I? Do I, Barry? Barry White. Okay. I'm going to let you, Chris, kind of break this news. We've had you on a couple times as a guest.
Mm-hmm.
We all know you as an assistant basketball coach.
Yep.
We know that your life story is you love basketball. You grew up with that. It kind of became this idol for you.
Mm-hmm.
Very passionate about it. And as of last week, some things have changed in your life. Your wife is pregnant. You guys are getting, I'm sure, pumped for that, bringing in another son into the world. How have things changed for you over the last week?
Well, yeah, it's really shifted a lot. The Lord has definitely shown me previously that I was going to be going into like full time ministry, and I knew that it was coming, but I did not know when. And I thought that there was going to be like this big explosion of confirmation, if you want to say, that was going to let me know. And I thought there was going to be comfort in being able to see how everything was shaping up. But that's not always how the Lord works. And he kind of reminded me that I'm not going to show you everything because that may hurt your faith. Like, because you'll start walking by what you see instead of just believing in what I've told you. So he started speaking to me during my prayer time and start showing Tara things, my wife, in visions. And so I knew that it was coming, but still my flesh was like, well, maybe he doesn't mean right now. Like, yeah, I know he wants me to do it, but you know, it would be better if I waited till the end of the season or the end of the year. And he's so perfect because he specifically structured it where not only would he want me to leave for ministry, but he also wanted me to leave for my wife. And the love that I have for my wife, like he knew that I would not withhold from her the things that she needed in order to stay at a job. Yeah. And with her being 8 months pregnant, we have a 1-year-old son who's beautiful and amazing. She needed me home to help her. And God just gave me that extra push to take the leap of faith and leave my job. And it's funny because, the word talks about going from faith to faith, where it was a leap of faith even having my son.
Yeah.
So and taking the leap of faith to have my son, he used that leap of faith to help me to make this leap of faith because I needed to be there for my family. So it's exciting. I left as of Thursday. I didn't get rave reviews on it from the people at my job. It wasn't, just totally accepted and people weren't just ecstatic about it. But the Lord is pleased with me, and he's shown that through the last couple of days. It's been unbelievable, the outpour of love and blessings, and I'm just excited to kind of see where it goes from here.
So you now are homeless and jobless?
No, I'm not homeless.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm only jobless.
Okay.
And
I thought that went along with it. Like you quit your job and then everything goes away.
No. Because see, there's this thing called favor.
Okay.
And so I received that from the Lord. And honestly, my mindset is he has already gone before me and set everything up. And so now I'm just walking into it by faith. So I do not worry about what it looks like. I don't worry about what people may feel about it. I'm only concerning myself with my faith right now. And I'm believing that through that process, I'm inviting the Spirit of the Lord in, and he's going to literally guide me through this whole situation. So faith. That is my main focus. That is Tara's main focus. And we're just going to let him do the rest.
Yeah. Jason, thoughts?
Well, there was a couple cool confirmations. Like I know that we talked about some of the pushback, and I'm not a big critic guy. You're going to face critics.
Yeah.
But that the hallway of criticism is the hallway to your destiny. Like if you're not walking towards something of the Lord, then you won't have any critics. But if you are, then the enemy's accusative voice is going to come out in those that they don't really see that other destiny. They don't see that path. Yeah. And so they're just automatically, they're probably not even meaning to, but they're just kind of in agreement with that style of living.
Yeah.
And they come out with that critical eye in it and can't say, all right, well, that's the way he's chosen to do life, and it's maybe not how I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to criticize. I think there's a difference in being somebody who just doesn't understand and kind of holds their tongue and is just like, okay. There's another side to where you kind of become that critic, and you had some of those, and that's okay. There's kind of forgiveness for that, and that's okay. Exactly. But on the other side of it, people who weren't in the middle, who just kind of, oh, okay, do your thing. There was some people who said, I want to help you in that.
Yeah.
There was two specific people. We don't have to mention their names because I don't know if they'd be comfortable with that, but we could kind of dance around.
Should I tell the testimony with that?
Well, that's what I would say.
Okay.
There was a guy.
Even though there was some like, oh, why are you doing that? No, there was a couple people that you talked to that got it. And they were on board. Yeah. And I like to highlight those because we need those.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Those are the testimonies that push other people forward into their destinies.
Yes.
So this is what happened, okay? So as I was going up to quit my job, I talked to my boss. The meeting went how it went. After that, the Lord spoke to me to go around the entire campus and tell everyone goodbye. To me, it wasn't a big deal. I was like, okay, sure. So I started going to every section of the school and just saying goodbye to everybody. As I was getting ready to leave campus, I thought I had talked to everyone. The Lord told me to go through the math building. And so I stopped to go through the math building. And I saw a guy that me and my wife had met earlier in the year. We kind of loved on a little bit. He loved on us. We went to lunch with him, invited him over to dinner, and spent some time with him. And so the Lord told me to, go say goodbye to him. And I was like, of course, so I go in there and I start telling him kind of what's going on, and he's really, really supportive. But he goes, well, what are you going to do financially? What are you going to do for money during this time? And I said, well, we're just trusting God. He's kind of lining some stuff up for us, but it's for a season. And after that, we don't really know, but we're just believing. Long story short, he tells me that he's been triple paying on his mortgage for the past year, and that he'll be done paying his house off by the summertime. And he's going to have about $1,500 a month, like that he's not going to have anything to do with. And he asked me if me and my wife would like that money. And he was going to pay us $1,500 a month just to bless our family. And this was 30 minutes after I made the decision to say, okay, Lord, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to trust you and do what you told me to do. And I broke down, man. I started crying. You know, I couldn't believe it, man. It was believable because I know the God that I serve, but we forget that God is outside of time. So you think that it's going to take a while for me to see the fruits of this, but it took 30 minutes.
God was, like you said, he was ahead of you
Yes.
on this triple paying mortgage
Yes.
that you had no clue about, but that guy did.
Yeah.
And God did. That's crazy. It's good.
It's crazy, man. And then we had other people that were calling like, hey, man, if you need anything, I don't care if it's $100 worth of groceries, you just call us and let us know. And it's just good to know that if we ever were to get to that point, we have people that are willing and that just love us and love our family. So, yeah, it pays to take the leaps of faith that God is calling you to make, because there are things in the works that you can't even see right now. But that doesn't mean they're not happening. I mean, I like to use the analogy of like the sun in the sky. Like when the sun sets, it doesn't mean that it's not there. Like it's still there. You just can't see it right now. And it's gonna be there when you need it the most.
That's good. So when you brought this up to me a few weeks ago, that's all the time it was a few weeks ago.
Maybe
man.
just a couple.
Yeah.
It wasn't very long ago.
Yeah.
You brought this up to me a few weeks ago and kind of asked me to pray about it.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of shared it with a couple different people, and there were some discussions about it. You know, we talked about the criticism, we talked about things, and everybody likes to have their quote unquote words of wisdom or words of warning, right? When this kind of stuff happens. But I said from the beginning, right when you told me, if there's one thing that I trust, it's your relationship with the Father. Like I trust
Amen.
Chris Hagan's faith. I trust your faith.
Right.
Amen.
And so it's nearly impossible for me to think God's going to discipline you for showing faith or for having faith or for living by faith.
Never.
You know what I mean? Like he's not going to, like, I think it's easy for us believers to, if we think about that, well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Why would God, discipline me or bring things to harm me because I stepped out in faith? It just doesn't make any sense.
And that's why I tell people all the time, it's more important. Your faith is more important than your decisions.
That's right.
And people get so caught up in, I got to do the right thing, or I may destroy my destiny, or I may, destroy my family. I may, just making the right decisions all the time. But it's impossible to please God without faith, not without making the right decisions. So it's like, just address your faith and let God give you grace for whenever you make the wrong decision, basically. So
that's good. Yeah, so. Do you have any thoughts on that? I want to move on to my thoughts.
No, I mean, my thoughts were kind of in the range of, if you feel like this is the time, and we had kind of talked about like waiting until after the birth of your son, but kind of just because
that was my plan.
Because of some of the things that were going on with this trip that you were going to have to be gone for, and Tara's date of when they were going to carry out, bringing your son into the world.
Yeah.
It shifted that mindset to where that just wasn't going to work.
No.
So there was a plan of by reason and by faith, and then the reason part shifted because the reasons shifted.
Yeah.
But the faith was still there.
Mm-hmm.
And so you kept going by faith, and I love that. It's part of it.
Yeah.
And I thought you did a good job, navigating it. And the other thing was the unity aspect of it. Of I didn't get a call when this was done. Like, this is Pastor Jason talking. A lot of times I get the cleanup calls.
Yeah.
After
so
people
I just did this. Now pray for me.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Lord bless this. I didn't really do it with you, but will you help me clean this up?
Nah.
And I think the Lord, He will. Like, there's mercy for that, but it's going to be harder that way, because now you've not only got to figure out how to do His will, which was in a different direction than what you did because you did it on your own.
Mm-hmm.
But not only that, that's hard enough.
Mm-hmm.
But then add another now I got to clean something up and move back towards this.
Yeah.
And there's mercy for it. It's not like God ever gives up on it, but life, I always say this to people, life is hard enough.
Yeah, don't make it
to
harder.
make it harder. And we all make it harder, but we can learn how to not to. And
Yeah.
I saw you navigate this with not making it harder than it needed to be in most of it. And I thought that was awesome. So
good.
Awesome.
mostly because we got those early calls like, hey, I'm thinking about this. I'm trying to, the essence of a faith community is it's actually a faith community.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's communication in community, and there's faith in community.
Mm-hmm.
Without those two things, you either just have faith on your own, or you have community, but you don't connect your faith over to it. You don't share what you're doing with God, with one another, and where you're at. And so communicating how you're navigating your faith is so important to actually have a fellowship community that looks like what Jesus wanted to build amongst his people.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that with this because there was camaraderie, and it wasn't just Chris, but it was like Chris was going to own it, but we were with you.
Yeah, and I
so
felt
it's kind of cool. You know what I'm saying?
I felt it too, man. Like every time I call you guys, there was never like a condemnation feel or like, what are you doing? Or, it was always, we're with you. We're praying with you.
Mm-hmm.
Wisdom that I know came from God because it was pure, it was peaceable, like the word says. So it was good. It was really good to walk with you guys, through that and not feel like this is all on me. If it doesn't work out, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm by myself in this thing. So it was good.
Well, Jay, you mentioned faith community, and when we're talking about faith community, and what I want this podcast to be really is just kind of a kingdom life kind of stuff.
Sure.
Doing life, how to do life, and in life, there's different perspectives of like everything. There's different perspectives even in that decision right there. There's Chris's perspective. There's his wife's perspective. There's his former boss's perspective. There's the friend's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I wanted to talk about just for a moment, I shared this with Chris, some difficulty, some things that rise up in me. And this is just me being vulnerable. I've had a couple years ago, I had a couple friends that I was close with, I was running with, and I've got this, I believe I have this call to full-time ministry. I believe I have this passion and desire for full-time ministry. And I'm really looking forward to the day when I can make that my
for sure.
my job and my lifestyle is doing ministry and not having to go to work for the man. And a couple friends of mine, right about the same time, they made that leap and they quit their jobs and they left the workforce with no plan, it was completely on faith. And instead of being excited for them, I became very bitter.
Yeah.
And it struck me because, I talked about the different perspectives of this thing. Like if we're doing life together, just the three of us right here, there's three different perspectives here. Right. And so part of my weakness and something that I've always struggled with is when I want something and I'm not getting it and I'm seeing everybody else receiving things that I'm praying about and desiring, there becomes this offense, and it's almost like a comparison spirit, I guess, but ultimately what it's leading to is I think that heaven's limited, in that moment. I'm thinking that God just God just spent all the favor on Chris and there's none left for me.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where if we're gonna talk to a range of people here on this podcast and we have a range of listeners, there's gonna be somebody who is ready to make that leap of faith, and there's gonna be somebody who's gonna have somebody in their life making that leap of faith that's gonna be experiencing the things that I experienced.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was talking this out with Chris, and I was like, bro, I promise you that I'm very excited for you, but this hurts, because I want this so bad.
He was honest, man.
I was.
Yeah.
And Jason, have you ever experienced that, or is that anything that you've ever dealt with? I mean, do you ever deal with that kind of stuff, or is it just me being very weak and immature?
I mean, I think it's mostly you. But,
but
unity.
You can understand and empathize with what I'm talking about.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
On the personal side of mine is I'm close, but I have felt. And I've told Chris this, that I had felt the Lord like holding me back. And I'd kind of been being asked by Will Rhodes over the last year and a half that is it time? Like, and like James, our good friend, he was always prodding me like, it's time.
Yeah.
But what I didn't have was the model that we're actually trying to build in now. I didn't believe in the American church pastoral model anymore, and that's all I saw in that. And so I couldn't be released. And
Amen.
you know, I now I feel released that when the time is right and in God's timing that will happen. And we had meetings to where it was like, we don't really know what this is going to look like or who's going to go first or who's going to like, and so we'd been very open-handed with God.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best posture to be when we try and hold on to our toys. And it's like, well, I gave you that toy. Can we not play with it together?
Yeah.
And say, so we were pretty open-handed with this as much as we can be. And I think God sees that. And then sometimes he tests it to where it doesn't go maybe how we think the order could have. Like, because I think for even just this, it would have maybe from the outside looking in, well, Jason, you're already part-time at the church. Why don't you just go full-time at this and then add people in as we get more funds or get more, folks involved in whatever God wants to do. But I think this is better because I think there's a timing aspect to it. And so I just kind of sat back, and if this would have been a year and a half or 2 years ago, I don't know if I would have handled it with the same maturity, because the Lord was really dealing with me on where I was at. And so because of that, saying yes to him dealing with me to prepare my heart for this time to where I could engage it better. I don't know if I'm rambling or making sense, but
and I mean, definitely
sense.
don't get me wrong. I'm not, flipping tables and
no, he was very supportive.
Throwing curse words towards Chris, but it's
yeah.
one of those things that it's an internal battle, which sometimes is even more difficult to deal with. And so, I mean, let's just call it what it is. It's a spirit of jealousy is what it is.
Yeah, that's the word I was going to bring up.
It's a jealous spirit. And so we need to, what would some advice be, first of all, from you, Jason, for somebody that is dealing with that? Someone that's dealing with that jealousy spirit. I kind of had the idea of titling this episode Celebrating Others' Victories. And just the idea of that, because I've got a place that I want to be. It's the same place that Chris is stepping into. I can't do it yet. My door's not open yet. God hasn't released me yet, but he's releasing other people, and something in me. And I promise you, I stewarded it well. I think being honest about it, talking about it,
he did.
But then also it's a prayer thing. It's a thing that the Lord's got to deal with me personally. What's some advice, Jason, that you would have for somebody that's dealing with that kind of situation?
Well, what do you know is one of my favorite words as far as in ministry?
Restoration.
What's the second one?
Try again.
I'll edit this out and get it right. No, just kidding.
But just that whole honor aspect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So you see something in somebody else and you want what they have. You want that marriage. You want that bank account. You want that freedom that they have. I don't care what it is. Like, it's okay to want more. I think so many times we shame wanting more. But gosh, God wants everybody's life to be getting better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And being super rich or just being wealthy.
Yeah.
As far as, well, wealth is different than riches.
Yeah.
And there is some, like, God saying, don't go after riches. There's a lot of pain that you're going to cause yourself if you're chasing that, if you're going after things that are maybe in the wrong motive. But in this, Darin has a desire in his heart that he's trying to steward and say yes to.
Yeah.
That's godly. And he sees other people. So you're going to, like, I drive a white Highlander. And so I see other white Highlanders that are right like mine because I have one.
Yep.
And so when you have clarity towards what's in your heart, you see it in other people.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
That's really
And so
good.
in that, you saw this happening in Chris. And so, yes, the enemy wants to creep right up there and maybe rob some of that good that's going on in you by trying to insert a spirit of jealousy. But a mature believer knows, oh, this is just his time.
That's right.
And I can do one of two things in this. I can be somebody who is jealous, and that'll actually shrink what's going on in me, or I can honor what the Lord's doing in somebody else's life. And that sometimes is some of the ways that God actually checks where we're at.
That's good.
At the heart level. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. And so to say, man, am I jealous of that newer Highlander, or do I like the Highlander that I drive at the stage that I'm driving it? And so I think honor would be the key word that I would say. Are you able to honor what God is doing in other people's lives when it may look like he's maybe doing a little better in their life? Man, that's a word that if you can't drop it in there. And then what I think honor builds is it builds that bridge of relationship that I think favor flows.
That's right.
Anointing flows.
Yeah.
And so if you get jealous, there's no bridge there.
That's right.
Because there's bitterness. And so in that, with honor, there's a bridge there, and things can flow that you will need and I will need if I'm willing to honor
and
rather
if we're in
than
the same stream.
Yes.
That's good. That's
so
good.
That would be one of my words.
No, I think that's good. And it's a good word too, what you said about like, it's okay to want things.
Yes.
I mean, God wouldn't allow things to manifest if he wasn't going to be okay with us wanting more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the very fact that this victory, and I'm calling this a victory. I mean, would you call it a victory, Chris? I mean, it is like you're battling something, but I didn't know what
it's definitely
other
a
word to
victory. It was a battle though, because
Yeah.
it's not easy to walk away from something that the Lord himself even gave you. Like he gave me that job, but clinging to his spirit allows me to remember and realize that even though he gave it to me, some things he gives to you are only destined for a season. So you have to cling to know, okay, I gave this to you, but when I say leave, you have to leave. And so it's hard to do that. And it was a battle. And I came up with some of my own plans, like, oh, I'll leave around this time. And, you know, I did some of that, but the Lord helped me because he knew my heart and he knew I wanted to do what was pleasing to him. And so I got a chance to actually do it.
You got a verse there or something?
Yeah, no, it was actually, this is crazy because I'm doing my live video tonight, and my live video is going to be about this chapter of your life is not your whole story. And so when you asked me to do this, there were some things that I wrote down for my live feed tonight that actually apply, because one of the things I was going to talk about is comparing yourself to others and looking at where you are now and focusing on that instead of focusing on Christ. And this is what the Lord gave me. It says sometimes you spend so much time watching how high everyone else is that you can't focus on me long enough to receive the tools for your own elevation. So there are things he wants to give you, but you can only receive them by focusing on him. And you're too busy focusing on everything that you're not. And Paul in 2 Corinthians 10 and 12, he said, I dare not to compare myself with anyone who commends themselves, because they who measure themselves by one another and compare themselves with one another is not wise. And the reason why he did that is because he knew that it wasn't about how good he was compared to other people. Only thing that mattered was what the Lord thought of him. And keeping that mindset of what the Lord thinks about me kept him from focusing on who he was compared to other people. Because the fact of the matter is the Lord's going to love us no matter where we are. Right. Like if you're where I'm at, where Jason's at, where Darin's at, he's going to love you where you are. And it's not going to be determined by how high you get. So focusing on how the Lord feels about us, it kind of helps us to receive the love that we need to keep from being jealous of other people.
Right.
Because his love is like, it's a broadening love. Like when I receive his love, it's not going to just stay with me. I'm going to share it with Jason. I'm going to share it with Darin. And part of that love is being able to say, I know you're doing what I would like to do, but I'm going to honor you and I'm going to love you anyway. You receive that love by clinging to the vine.
That's good.
And so it's all, it kind of always goes back to, you know, clinging to the Spirit of God.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's as simple as that. But being able to see how that helps you in situations like these, I think is really cool.
Well, we've talked about the culture of honor a lot on this podcast for sure. And I think that talking about the jealousy word to me, that word is in effect when the honor is dropped. Like you drop honor out of this thing, and jealousy is just going to rise up.
Yeah.
So that word honor, actually, me honoring Chris or honoring someone who's experiencing breakthrough or experiencing victory that I want for myself, when I honor them, it actually pushes away the enemy and his works, right? All the things that could rise up to affect that. So that's good. I think, and so that's where the culture of honor comes first, right?
Definitely.
Like you're probably not stepping out into this new season if there wasn't a culture of honor in place.
Definitely not. If I didn't feel like what the Lord had placed in me was going to be appreciated by the people around me, there's no way that I'm able to actually walk into this thing. But the way you guys treat me, the way you accept me, the way you honor, my giftings or just who I am as a person, it makes it so much easier to walk into that. And that's just the Spirit coming around full circle.
Yeah, that's good.
I talked about a jealousy verse over the weekend in James chapter 4, and I don't know exactly which one, but I hadn't pulled it up quite yet, but I'll just do it off
James
the
will
top of my head.
convict you.
Yeah,
James.
And but it was talking about the Lord's jealousy.
Yeah.
And sometimes we kind of see jealousy as like a all the way bad thing,
right?
But that the Lord is jealous that His Spirit live in us. Like the Spirit that He designed to live in us, He's jealous. If anything else is there, He's like, oh,
I don't like that.
I don't like that. That's not how it was designed.
To Him, it's actually, that doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
That's what God's like, that doesn't even make sense that something else is in this.
Why are you putting that there? To Him, but to us, we've got these comforts in those things. And to where I just think to be jealous for one another's lives, to really have all that God wants them to have. Now there's like a holy jealousy for one another.
Yeah.
Like a jealousy for our marriages to be incredible. Yeah. A jealousy for our passion and our zeal for the Lord to be incredible. Our ability to show people what the Word says and who they are in Christ. Like be jealous for one another to get better at that stuff. Like that's where I think that's okay, because that's that holy want to on behalf of others.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a awesome desire there. Then I love that it used that word, because it kind of helps flip a negative thing in our mind and say, oh, God's jealous for me to have more of Him. So it's almost permission to want more of Him because He wants more for me. Yeah. Man, that gets me riled up there.
And I've said the word perspective a lot, but this whole podcast honestly came from my kingdom perspective, and I wanted the idea that I carry the kingdom. And so if I have that perspective, if I have this kingdom minded perspective, when Chris is experiencing victory or breakthrough, I can look and say, do it again, God. Like that's the difference in perspective there.
Yes.
Is me saying, whoa, God can do that. What an amazing testimony. I believe God can do it again.
Right.
That's in regards to healing. That's in regards to, marriages. That's in regards to just personal breakthrough like that. And so for me, like you said, if this would have happened a year or two ago or whatever, for me, before a kingdom perspective, if this would have happened, it would probably rock my world, push me into a state of borderline depression or whatever. Yeah. Because, somebody's experiencing something that I want. But with a kingdom perspective, it lasted maybe 3 seconds.
Yeah.
I was able to discern it, talk it out, and realize I love this man. I love Chris Hagan. Man. And I'm very excited for what God's doing in his life. And I believe that heaven's abundance is endless. Yes. And there's so much breakthrough and victory available, not just for Chris, but for all of God's children. And so I'm excited to be a part of this season, because this could have happened to you in a different season. Yeah. Outside of different friendships and different relationships. I'm thankful I get to be a part of this season for you, Wow. And I can't wait to share my breakthrough moment and season with you and you and you and you and you. It's gonna be awesome. It's going to be fun, man. So,
I don't know how much time we have, but I feel
go
like
for it.
I have okay, so I feel like there's a prophetic picture that the Lord gave me through a Netflix. It's Medal of Honor.
Yeah.
So there's 40. If anybody's on Netflix, it was pretty popular over this weekend. They launched it. It was a good weekend to launch it because Veterans Day and looking into that. 40 million veterans in all military service. Thank you guys. I told my wife that, and she said, I feel like they all deserve a Medal of Honor.
Yeah.
And which I totally agree with, but only 36 or 3,800 have received the Medal of Honor out of 40 million.
That is crazy.
And one of them, I think it was in World War II, the very first film. You can go watch it, and I can't remember the young man's name, but basically his platoon was on a patrol, and they were out, and they were supposed to kind of keep trying to take more ground of this beachhead that the Nazis had surrounded. And it was close to Rome, but there was a city they needed to get to that then if they got to that city, they had broken through the lines. And then it was going to be easy to get to Rome and take the first Axis capital that had been occupied and retake that ground. And so this platoon is out there, and they think they're just kind of on a patrol and see what they can find. And the Nazis had all these machine gun bunkers all through this and just scattered through here so that they could pick them off when they tried to take more ground. They'd let them come out a ways, half of them, as that's what they would do. They'd get out of cover, and they'd go and see if they're going to start shooting at us yet. And sure enough, they let them cross this railroad track. And then everybody else came out because they thought it was clear, and then they started picking them off. And the leader of this, I don't know if it's captain or what his name was, he was in the back because he was like sending them out, and he would go last. He saw that now they're in trouble. And so he gets back behind this wall of cover, and he decides to do something crazy, stupid / courageous. And he goes and kind of does an end around where his troops are not, and he goes over to draw fire to like the left of where all his guys are, and just one guy with a gun running up towards this bunker of several machine guns. And they see him, and they take him out once. They shoot him, and he goes down, and he gets back up, and he runs towards it. He's shooting, trying to draw fire away from his guys that are pinned down.
Oh, wow.
And he gets shot again, second time. Third time, he gets shot in his gun arm, so he has to put the gun on his other arm because this arm is like not blown off, but he can't use it. So he's running up there, had been shot 3 times, and he gets up there, and there, can you imagine shooting a guy 3 times, you're the enemy, and so from this, he ends up, they take over that bunker. They all surrender to this one guy who ran up there after getting shot 3 times and gun in the wrong arm, and just the sheer courage.
Yeah.
And then they get up there, and everybody else comes up there, and they disarm that bunker, and then another bunker starts shooting at him, and that same guy, he turns around, and he goes, and that's where he died, was charging again. But guess what all of his other men did because of his courage? They charged.
Wow.
And from that, 10 days later, after being pinned down on this beachhead for months and not being able to break through, one guy's courage actually inspired this breakthrough to that first city, and then 10 days later, they took over Rome, the capital.
You know, that reminds me of, biblically,
Whoa.
you think of David.
Yeah.
You think about him going up against a giant, not for his own personal gain, but he chops off the head of the giant, and we think that's the end of the story, but actually the Israelites decided to charge and take over, and that
let's go for it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, man.
That the kingdom flows with courage.
It's good.
Like the kingdom flows with courage. If there's not courage there, it's not real faith.
It takes a step.
There's a step. So what my prophetic picture is that this was one of those courageous moments that builds courage out. And it's like, oh, good things happened from that, even though it was scary and it was a little bit counterintuitive. Always my favorite counterintuitive based on just revelation voice of God is Ananias going and praying for Paul, who had been killing Christians. It's like that made no sense, but because of Ananias, he heard from the Lord and he did what he was told. We got a captain in the faith that maybe we wouldn't have had without. And so I just thank you for your courage. More stories of courage, I think, are going to be released from it.
Amen.
And I think we're going to just keep taking some ground in this region by inspiring courage. And just to the listeners, like, if the Lord is calling you to something that is courage-based, it's not necessarily reasons-based, but like, find a place in your heart where you're saying yes to that, and then you're starting to ask the Lord not necessarily what anymore, because you know what.
That's good.
Now you're asking him how and when.
That's good.
Because the saying yes, there's stages to it, but it looks like something. And keep saying yes to it, even if you hadn't like all the way charged the bunker yet. But there was a lot of yeses in growing up in the Lord before this. Quit here, move forward. Like there's a kind of a perfect time for that. And I think we can rush it or delay it, or we can be right where we're supposed to be. And that's for everybody.
And one of the things too that the Lord, he reminded me of how much he honors us not being anxious. You know, the word says be anxious for nothing. And he helped me with that, because at the beginning of my walk, I wanted everything. Like, Lord, I want to do this, I want to do that. And he got me to a place of peace where I was basically just focusing on resting in him and saying, Lord, whatever you have for me, I'm okay with it. And I know you're going to show me some things along the way, but no matter how it looks, it may not look how I want it to look. I may not be where I want to be, but I'm not going to be anxious for it. I'm going to trust your timing. And that has always, in every situation, sped up my process, because I don't just focus on what I want, because it's okay to want things, but more importantly, I want what God has for me. And I think he honors that I don't just rush into everything, or I'm not just like wrecking my brain all day, every day. Like, how do I get this? How do I do this? But I'm like, Lord, however you want to do it, that's how we're going to do it. And however long it takes, I'm okay with that. And I think he honors that in me, because he put that in me. I did not have the ability to do that. And I just thank him for allowing me to get to a point where I can rest in him and just trust his process, because it's so much better than mine.
That's good. Yeah. I feel like we have three different perspectives sitting at this table for this situation. And I just want to say, anybody who's listening, if you have come to a crossroads where you have a decision to make, like in your spirit, you have a decision that you feel like God's pushing you into, but it doesn't make a whole lot of natural sense, I want you to reach out to Chris Hagan's on Facebook, on Instagram, C Hagan's 101 on Instagram. Reach out to him on Facebook. If you have a friend who, or a family member who's come to you and they have a decision to make, and you're in a position to give them wise counsel, I want you to reach out to Jason Goetz on Facebook. Reach out to them. Reach out to Jason, and he's been in that situation through this. And if you're somebody who has a friend or a family member who has made a decision, something that you want to make a decision for, but you don't feel the green light in your own life, and you're struggling with how to support them, how to love them, how to celebrate with them, I want you to reach out to me, Darin Eubanks, on Facebook. We have three different perspectives here. I feel like there's three different people that could be affected by this situation.
Amen.
So, man, this was good.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you guys for coming on. Thank you for breaking the news.
Man.
You're going to have family members hear this for the first time. You realize that?
Yep. And, I just know that God's going to take care of their feelings, man.
That's good.
I trust him with that. He's going to do his thing. I just really can't concern myself with it.
I can vouch for your faith.
Amen.
As a friend, as a brother, you're a man living by faith, and I think that's okay. I was reminded throughout this episode, there's a way that seems right to a man. Right?
Yeah.
But it leads to what?
Destruction.
It leads to destruction.
Yeah.
There's a way that seems right. Every decision we have to make in this world, there's going to be a way that just seems natural, a way that seems right. And chances are most of the counseling that we're going to get for that decision is going to be worldly, natural, what makes sense.
Yeah.
That's going to be most of the opinions that we're going to get from the people around us.
Just make sure you have some other ones too.
That's right.
Because you're going to have those.
That's right.
Yeah.
But maybe scratch around for some different ones.
That's right.
That are like, okay, maybe that's not the only opinion.
Yep.
And
I don't think God's real real down with the whole popularity contest when it comes to like
Come on.
opinions. He's just not.
Didn't he say there was
Yeah.
kind of a fear of man thing
That's
that was
exactly
a snare?
right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Hey, D, I wanted to honor you. Like, this is 25.
Yeah.
And
Come on,
you're,
man.
You're taking a break,
Let's
and we're
go.
like super proud of you, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
And
Yeah.
This has been fun, man.
I
This
know you
is-
work hard
Yeah.
at it. Like,
Yeah.
it's not just something that
I care about it.
It
you
shows.
kind of, it does.
It really
Like,
shows.
It shows how maybe sometimes hard I didn't work when we were doing the Two Brothers. And
I
to
learned from
see-
the best on
to
how
see-
not to do it. No, I'm just kidding. Just
to
kidding.
see how just the excellence level, and
Yeah.
you really do
Thank
carry
you.
that well. Of saying,
That's awesome.
if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it well. And I've
Yeah.
heard you say that in
Yes.
private, but
Yeah.
it shows here. It's not just words in you.
Yeah.
So thank you for the excellence that you carry in
Thank
what
you.
you do. I appreciate it.
That's awesome.
And it's blessed a lot of people. And I've
That's awesome.
enjoyed the conversations
Yeah.
that we've gotten to have
It's been
on
great.
this. They wouldn't have probably happened, or definitely wouldn't
That's
have got
right.
recorded
Yeah.
if you hadn't done this.
Well,
So
and I appreciate
thank
you guys
thank you,
always
thank you.
being on the other end of the line, willing to show up and do this too. I've talked about the struggles of doing this solo, and it is difficult to sit in a room and just talk in a microphone by yourself. So thank you guys. I appreciate you. And to anybody who's listening, please do me a favor and just rate and review this thing.
Yes.
You just heard me talk about it in the intro.
Do it now.
And I want you to just rate it. If you're listening to it on a podcast service, just do what you got to do. Rate this thing, share it with your friends. And again, like usual, if you have any questions or comments, or you just want to reach out, because we do want to establish a network with you people. We want to be able to communicate with you. You can shoot us an email at thekingdombringers@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at KB Podcast, and be on the lookout for the Two Brothers podcast coming soon. We're excited about that. Until next time, y'all, be blessed.